On today's episode of the John Campea Show, Warner Brothers Discovery is making, as we speak, some massive announcements about HBO Max or H or B or whatever it is they're going to call. We're going to talk about that. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming up, but what could be their Achilles heel, as well as the Marvels? What could be their weak spot in that as well? That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, and streaming. Not just giving you our opinions, but also giving you information and context so you can form your own better informed opinions. I'm joined in here today by Ray Ora over there running the show. We got Jonathan Voico. Taylor Gonzalez is here. Of course, it is Wednesday. That means it's Chris Carr's day off. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to talk about a bunch of topics that are already out and are coming out as we speak. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to go over and take your questions that you guys send in to us anytime, 24/7, using our tip link simply at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. You can send in those questions anytime. You don't have to wait for the show to be live, and it'll be read in an upcoming episode. All right. With all that down, guys, well, we just got to get right off the top and start with this. As you guys may remember, I was invited to some WB event. I showed you the invite a few weeks ago and again yesterday, some invite for a press event that they are doing today. I, of course, no longer go to any press events, so I'm not there, even though they tried to tempt us with a free breakfast. But I resisted the call of dry croissants, decided not to go. And now the announcements are coming out, and there's a whole bunch, some very exciting announcements coming out about HBO Max and some of the content that's coming. We're going to talk about that in a second, but we're going to start with this about the new HBO Max. It's no longer called HBO Max. And we have all kind of assumed, we've heard, we've whispered, we've talked about. I think most people had heard at least rumors, strong rumors, that the service HBO Max was going to be changing its name to Max. And sure enough, they have. It is now official that HBO Max has put new makeup on the pig, and it is now called just Max. It is now...
After hours and hours of meetings.
After months and months of meetings, they came up with Max. Now, look, let me say this up front, and then we'll go into some details here. I am a big fan of David Zaslav. While a lot of people, I believe, are being really short-sighted looking at a lot of the moves that he's done and complaining about this move and this move, I've said for a long time, I think all the moves he's been making are the right ones for the long-term health and success of this company. I need to lay that down as a foundation to let you guys know, in case you didn't know, I am a David Zaslav fan. Yes, I think he's a brilliant executive. I really do. And ignore all the chattering, well, he don't like he did this. He's doing what is best for the company long term. So are we clear that I'm a David Zaslav fan? We're clear, right? What the fuck? This is one of the stupidest things. This is one of the stupidest things. The name HBO, all right, is one of the, if not the most respected and revered names in the world of televised entertainment. And it has been for a very, very long time. HBO, when you hear a series is going to be an HBO series, you know you are getting the gold standard. That's what we associate the name HBO with. Quality, legacy, awards, pop culture influence. Like, and whenever any discussion comes up about the greatest shows of all time, you know at least a dozen HBO shows are going to be in the conversation. Because it is a revered, respected, and recognizable name. Now, I get it. Back when they started the streaming service with HBO Max, I was also not a big fan of the name HBO Max. And here's why, because at the time it created a lot of confusion. Let's go over to the classroom for a second. So we, of course, had HBO. right? Well, also when HBO Max was coming out, not only did we have HBO, we had HBO Go. Remember that?
Yep.
Which is, a version of HBO, whether I can't remember if this one was on your devices or something like that.
That was the one that it was.
That's the one that what?
It was on the devices.
It was on the device. So you get HBO Go. Now, on top of HBO Go, there was also HBO Now. These all three things were out at the same time.
This is where I started scratching my head too. And I was subscribed to HBO. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Consumers were like, what was going on? A few years ago when they were doing this. So then the brain trust over at Warner Brothers decided what we're going to name our new streaming service. Well, we're going to call it HBO Max. And all the same content was in all of them. There were 4 different platforms, all with the name of HBO, and all basically had the exact same content. And it created, when they launched HBO Max, it created a lot of confusion amongst consumers, and it was a bad name to start with, okay? Now, and it was absolutely a bad name to come out of the gate with. And they should have planned this out a lot better. They should have absolutely planned this out a lot better. Okay. So now they fixed the problem by just calling it Max.
Yeah.
The lesson they got out of this, they went from one extreme of being dumb of putting HBO, HBO Go, HBO Now, HBO Max, HBO Fuck. I mean, they had like HBO everything,
I
right?
want that one. that might be where all the stuff I've been looking for is gone.
So the lesson they learned from that is take out the one part of all those names that was actually valuable. The HBO part. Let's just take that out. And to confuse it even more, this gaggle of nitwits, do you want to make it confusing even more? Jonathan spoiled it just a second ago.
I just kind of blew it. But
let's bring it up here. The slogan for this new fucking thing, and just to compound the confusion, Max, the one to go to watch HBO. What the fuck? The one to watch for HBO. Why the fuck didn't you just keep calling it HBO? What the hell are these guys thinking? These guys, I mean, seriously, what is this marketing room that sits in there? They're sitting in there playing Tetris and playing Pokemon cards and scratching their asses. And go, do you guys come up with any ideas yet? Oh, that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Max?
yeah. And now is where you go see Discovery.
Like, well, what is Max? Well, it's the place you go to watch HBO. How did we not think? How did AT&T not think of this before?
Investigative unit.
How did we not think of this before?
Doma's on the case.
And of course,
on the case.
David Zaslav comes out with what Ray has discovered as his brand new instrument, the Maxophone. David Zaslav comes out with the Maxophone to announce, hey, baby, we got a new streaming service for you. It's the Maxophone. I am always stunned and amazed when really intelligent people, and this happens all the time, happens to everybody, happens to all of us, every single person watching this show, every person on the show, we have all done really stupid things. We all do. It's part of being human. But it's kind of confounding to me when really intelligent people do really, really dumb things. This is a stupid name. It is a stupid name. And I know you can say, John, come on. We've all really known for months that this was going to be the new name. Sure. But there was a part of my brain that was kind of hoping that some common sense would prevail here. What we got to do? We got to take out HBO. We're just going to call it Max. Well, how will people know what it is? It's the place to go to watch HBO.
Brilliant.
All right, I'm going to break it down for you. So, you had an HBO, and now you got a Max.
We're going to, you know what? Let's rename McDonald's. We'll just call it Don's. Well, what the fuck is Don's? It's where you go to eat McDonald's. It's where you go to eat McDonald's.
Oh, makes
Come on,
sense.
it's clear.
David's like, now you got it.
Bingo. And meanwhile, Godfather David Zaslav is sitting there and is like, man, it was called HBO. This is, Jonathan brought this up to me. That is the most Italian looking that David Zaslav has ever looked. It was called HBO, but we need a Max. I mean, it's a Finucci's.
Yeah.
Finucci's. I don't know. I don't.
Maybe it's just a start of a new era. I get it, but it's just weird how it's like they just drop HBO. Like I would rather have HBO in it as well.
And it's funny because then he came out. Taylor was reading this earlier. He comes out and David Zaslav reads it. It's the start of a new era. And blah, blah. Dude, you literally just painted the front door.
Wait, I have to read this quote about
Please
this rename.
Please do.
In my best, I don't know what he sounds
When he
like.
read it, I literally was laughing.
Yeah,
It was a joke.
I thought this was a
1
joke.
second, sorry. Lewis Cox in live chat. Rename this to just the show, the place you go for John Campea.
Yeah. The place where you go watch John Campea. That's our slogan.
Sorry, what's the thing you got to read?
I'm going to do it like this. This is a real moment for us. This
is David Zaslav.
This is David Zaslav. I'm doing my impersonation of him. This is our time. This is our chance, and everything is possible. CEO David Zaslav said in his introductory remarks, I feel like for our company, this is our rendezvous with destiny. I'll take my Oscar now.
Literally,
Is this a timeshare?
just dropped the word HBO, and it is ushering in our rendezvous with destiny.
I think he said it from Isengard.
Oh my God, I can't even breathe anymore.
You know what's keeping us back from our destiny? 3 letters, gentlemen. HBO. What? A world of possibilities is now opened up. And what is it again? Oh, it's where you go to watch HBO. I don't. Now listen. Lest you think.
No, there's no going back.
Lest you think
Dumbass meeting.
that this is just one big piece of stupidity. There is, in all honesty, there's some very exciting other things they did talk about.
Yes.
And we will get into that. And guess what? As fucking fuddled as I am that they would rename this stupid thing to this idiotic name, Max, you morons. The reality is, lest I get too carried away, that wasn't too carried away. No, that was perfectly appropriate amount of getting carried away. It is just a title, right? It is, at the end of the day, just a name. But much like in the early days of HBO Max, when we had HBO, HBO Go, HBO Now, and now HBO Max, it contributed a lot to the slow start that their streaming service had. A bad name that causes confusion with the consumers is not helpful. It is counterproductive to trying to get your audience on board.
Well, I mean, you said it perfectly with the now and the go. It's like, didn't they just relive this?
They just went through this. And only to I know I said it 5 times, but then, wait a minute, what's Max? It's the place you go to watch HBO. Well, that makes it as clear as a bucket of shit. Thank you so much. Now I completely understand. I just really think this is you know what? Jonathan said before, just like 10 seconds before the show started, Jonathan goes, the name Peacock doesn't look so bad now, does it? Yeah. No, it does not. Congratulations, David Zaslav. You actually made the name Peacock not seem as dumb. Well done. Again, I am a big Zaslav fan, man. I am, but
I can't get over this.
This was a swing and a miss, dude. This was a swing and a miss. I'm going to tell you what. I shouldn't say this. I should not say this.
No.
But I'm going to.
No.
But I'm going to.
Fine.
You guys know I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan. One of the greatest movie executives of all time, Alan Horn. Yeah, the guy who was Kevin Feige's boss, the guy who ushered Disney Pictures when Bob Iger came into power at Disney for the first time. He went over and he said, Alan Horn, come out of retirement. We need you to be the godfather of all of our movie divisions. And all he did was usher in like $35 billion films. He shepherded Kevin Feige and the whole MCU. He did all that. He's one of the greatest film executives of all time. And he went over and is now special counsel. He's like Paul Heyman. He went over as now special counsel to David Zaslav. And I'll tell you what, after I went on and waxed poetic about Alan Horn wrote me. Alan Horn, it was one of the most exciting days of my life. There was a day on the show a few months ago that I absolutely geeked out, and I wouldn't tell people why. Alan Horn actually wrote me and said, hey, thanks for saying the nice things. Super pleasant guy. Had a little bit of an exchange with him back and forth. Super awesome. But and I've not used his email since. But I think I'm going to use it.
Oh my God.
I think I'm going to use that email address and say,
Can't wait till you get that reject
so,
email.
Max, huh? It's like, couldn't you have talked him out of this? Now, granted, Alan Horn is not a marketing guy, and he had nothing to do with the name change to Max. Alan Horn is there to give consigliere, advice and guidance in the world of movies and what they do, not the streaming service. But I almost feel like, could you maybe go knock on David's door? Maybe say, what the hell? Anyway.
Universal has released a statement on this, John. This comes to us from the live chat. Everyone's putting this, so I can't take credit for this, but I'll deliver the message for you guys. Peacock is shortening their name from peacock to cock, and it's the place where you go for the pee.
Love it. And actually, breaking news, Bob Iger, head honcho at Disney, he put out his official reaction to the name of Max. There it is. Bob Iger's official reaction. There it is. That's his official statement.
He's like, I think we just won.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, it's just a name. It is just a name, but I think this is going to hurt their efforts in getting to their destiny. All right. Anyway.
All right, Sauron. David Sauron.
David Sauron. Let's now talk about some more pleasant things, shall we? In announcing the ushering in of the new age of Aquarius and the destiny of Warner Brothers, they started announcing some content.
Content, baby.
And the first big thing they dropped, probably the most significant thing they dropped, was this: the first look teaser at Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
They dropped a first look teaser at Penguin. It's now online. You can go and find it on YouTube if you just look up. Do you have a site for that, Jonathan? Anyway, and it looks fantastic.
That one I'll bring up.
It looks fantastic. Now, look, I'm a big fan of Matt Reeves' Batman movie. I love that world that he's created for this iteration of the Batman universe. And one of the best things about Matt Reeves' Batman movie was Colin Farrell as Penguin. He was not just because the makeup was amazing, and because the makeup is amazing. Like, I still look at him, I still can't believe that's Colin Farrell. But the performance was incredible. And this trailer, oh my God, it felt like Francis Ford Coppola himself was directing it. It's got the color palette of a Godfather. It had the feel of a Godfather kind of movie. It just felt amazing. And Farrell looks incredible. There's a shot at the end of the teaser where he's just sitting there in a chair talking to a guy and just nonchalantly, bang, 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 puts 4 rounds into him and then has this weird, awkward laugh that he does. I just ate it up. It looks phenomenal. Truly worthy of the HBO name, but I guess now it'll be on Max. But it seriously looks phenomenal. And I remember when I finished watching it, I went over to Jonathan and he was watching it too. And I said, God, this feels like a Godfather thing. It feels like Francis Ford Coppola himself directed it. And so I don't know a lot about what the story is yet. They do give a little bit of hint of it that he's, this is his making his moves to take over the city. This was also kind of more like not really a teaser, because the very first title on screen is now in production and they show scenes from it, yes, with music and everything, but they also show Colin Farrell walking down the street in Penguin costume with the sound guy holding the boom mic over his head. So it's a little bit behind the scenes, little bit first teaser sort of thing, but it really does look incredible. Looks incredible. And I can't wait to see it. Anyway, guys, if you have seen this new Penguin trailer, let me know what you think about it. I am honestly completely blown away by it. I thought it looked fantastic for just kind of a little behind the scenes featurette / teaser trailer. I thought it looked great. It has made me more excited to see this Penguin series. If you guys saw it, whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. Now listen, there is a laundry list of other announcements that they have made. And I have tasked Taylor with just quickly walking us through them. I'll interrupt him and stop, and we'll give some commentary on each one of the things. Some of these things are kind of minor and who gives a crap. Some of the things are actually kind of exciting. So Taylor, what else did they talk about?
Sure. So the latest one they just announced is Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in an original limited series called The Sympathizer. They released a first look at that.
They're doing another thing with Robert Downey Jr., right? Like they're getting fully into bed with Robert Downey Jr. What was the other thing they talked
The
about?
other one, let me just scroll down to
Well, there goes Iron Man.
was it's called Downey's Dream Cars, and it says join Robert Downey Jr. as he helps save the environment one classic car at a time. Unfortunately for that one, that's the only information I have.
If he's saving the environment by saving one classic car at a time, my assumption, I could be wrong about this, I'm just guessing. My guess is it's going to be kind of like a renovations show where it's going to be, he's probably converting classic cars to electric or something like that. Yeah. That's just a guess. All right, what else do they got on there?
All right, we have Lovely to Meet You, Madam Chancellor. The Regime, an HBO original limited series starring Kate Winslet, is coming in 2024 to Max. So it's interesting the way they word it too, an HBO original limited series, but it's going to be on Max.
Let's not even go into that again. So what's the name of the series?
So that one is called The Regime.
Now that's interesting because Kate Winslet, she just did the Mayor of Easttown, or Mayor, not the Mayor of Easttown, Mayor of Easttown I believe that was an HBO show, was it not? Mm-hmm. Freaking brilliant. That show was awesome. I guess that means we heard that rumblings that there wasn't going to be a second season. I guess that confirms it. Well, she's staying in business with HBO. Sorry, Max. Sorry, whatever the hell they're going to call it now. All right, what's next?
All right, a new chapter in the acclaimed HBO original series True Detective, starring Jodie Foster and Kaylee Reese, is coming this year to Max.
Which, you know what? Great or bad?
Yeah, it's going to be. I loved the cast of season 2 and obviously season 3. I liked season 2. But neither 2 nor 3 really kind of were able to recapture that magic of the first season with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, you're right.
They just weren't able to recapture the magic. I mean, they're good. They're good shows. So with getting an iconic figure like a Jodie Foster in there, let's see what they can do with that. All right, what else did they have?
They released a 1 minute and 49-second trailer for Gremlins: The Secrets of the Mogwai.
Mogwai.
That one looks pretty good.
I mean, this is interesting because this is one they've been talking about for years. Like Ray or Jonathan, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember us talking about this story.
We did.
Back in the movie talk days. Like, so this is going back years and years and years that this is so the first trailer for that kind of drops. All right. What else we got there?
All right. So next up, I have some more information on this one. So it's Peter and the Wolf. It's an animated short film with Bono and Gavin Friday. It's going to be based on, where did it go? Some illustrations by Friday's longtime friend and collaborator Bono from his book of the same name. Then we
listen. U2 is my favorite band of all time. I have zero interest in this. This is like, well, let's just do something because it's Bono. So I don't know. I got no interest. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know, but I got zero interest in this. All right, what else do they got?
Well, this next one, Ray's thrilled about. He is getting ready for his after show. It says your favorite tunes are back for more fun. Tiny Toons Luniversity is coming soon to Max.
I'm not going to lie to you. Listen, as an unabashed, unapologetic, huge fan of the Animaniacs. We are the Animaniacs. There's baloney in our slacks. Was zany to the anyway. So. No, I got the lyrics. There's zany to the max. There's baloney in our slacks. We're Animaniacs. So come and join the Warner Brothers and their Warner sister Dot. And just for fun, we run around the Warner movie lot. Whenever we get to they throw us in the tower whenever we get caught. But we break loose and then moose. And now you know the plot. I know that women everywhere are so turned on right now. So turned on by that. Anyway.
They got their Transformers. They're coming over.
That's right. I loved the Animaniacs. Absolutely loved the Animaniacs. And so if they can do this, and I remember they've talked about this a couple of years ago, if they can also bring in a little bit of the Animaniacs, because I heard some rumors they might do a little bit of that, even though Animaniacs was running again. If they can bring some of that into this, that might be fun. All right. I'm intrigued by it. What else do they got?
All right, next up, Same Faces, Different Places. Rick and Morty, the anime, is coming to Max this year.
Different showrunner.
Different showrunner. Really? And that's Okay, look, full admission here. I'm not a big Rick and Morty fan. It's really weird because it's a show that has my kind of humor, totally has my kind of humor. But for whatever reason, I watched season 1. It just didn't hit for me like it does for a lot of other people. But isn't it strange that you do an anime version of an animated show that you're already doing? Maybe they're just trying to mine the IP here a little bit. That seems a little gold digging a bit. I don't know. Seems weird, but I don't know. Maybe Rick and Morty fans will hate this idea. Maybe Rick and Morty fans will absolutely love this idea. Do me a favor, Ray. Put in a poll in the live chat right now. Ask if you're a Rick and Morty fan, do you like the idea of a separate anime show or not? Just ask them if they like that. I'd be curious to know what Rick and Morty fans think about that. All right, what else we got there?
All right, well, I'm going to skip to something that just broke 32 seconds ago. It's official. A Harry Potter TV series is coming to Max. David Zaslav has revealed plans for a live-action TV series based on the original series of books.
Is that at the top?
That just broke on Hollywood Reporter.
Okay, let's see if we can get that story here. I'm going to jump over here myself. Give me a moment.
Sure. While you are looking for
is...
that, do you want to go to the next one on that list?
Go to the next one on the list for now, yes.
All right. Well, this one also for Ray. Are you ready to live the dream? Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge. It looks like it is a reality show competition. Is coming to Max and HGTV. No thanks. I'm going to say no thanks right now.
No, so much no. Like these reality competition shows are getting too far. All right, let's go over to my screen here for a second.
Right.
This is huge. We did talk about this the other day. There were whispers and reports going around that they are looking at doing a Harry Potter TV series. And I was wondering if they would make it official today. But here we go. David Heyman, who produced all 8. Yeah, I met David. He's very passionate about this thing. He was the producer of all the Harry Potter films. David Heyman, not to be confused with Paul Heyman, who produced all 8 feature films, is in talks to executive produce the original series based on the books. Now, I'm going to read whatever it is, the Hollywood Reporter. Look at little young Daniel Radcliffe there. My goodness. Anyway, Hollywood Reporter says this. It's official. A Harry Potter TV series is coming to the streaming service formerly known as HBO Max, which, of course, is the place to go to for HBO. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav has revealed plans for a live-action TV series based on controversial author J.K. Rowling's beloved book series. Zaslav made the announcement Wednesday morning during a presentation that revealed how streamers HBO Max and Discovery Plus would be integrated. As expected, HBO Max, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Here's how the series is described by Max. The stories from each of Rowling's Harry Potter books will become a decade-long series. Oh, yeah, that's not getting ahead of yourself. That's a red flag right there. Anyway, will become a decade-long series produced with the same epic craft, love, and care this global franchise is known for. The series will feature a new cast to lead a new generation of fandom, full of the fantastic detail, much-loved characters, and dramatic locations that Harry Potter fans have loved for over 25 years. Each season will be authentic to the original books and bring Harry Potter and these incredible adventures to new audiences around the world, while the original classic and beloved films will remain at the core of the franchise and available to watch globally. All right, I've got a couple of red flags here. Red flag number 1. Did you learn nothing from Universal launching their Dark Monster universe?
No.
Yeah, apparently not. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, a couple of years ago, Universal made this big deal. We're about to do this 10-film epic saga of the Dark Universe, starting with The Mummy and The Invisible Man and Frankenstein and blah, blah, all these people. And they put out pictures of Tom Cruise with Javier Bardem and Russell Crowe. And there it is. I thought it was Skeet Ulrich for a second. And Johnny Depp. You read they put out these pictures. Oh, we're going to do all this stuff. Oh, woo, the new era. And then they put out the first film. Tom Cruise's The Mummy. Didn't go so well. I personally did not hate The Mummy. Just to be on record, I personally didn't hate The Mummy. But that bit them in the ass for years. All these big plans down to come out and say, this will be a decade-long television franchise. Really? Let's see how that goes.
By the way, an image of Zaslav just leaked of his announcement.
Oh my God.
Here it comes. So that's a little bit of a red flag for me right there. Like, don't be talking about decade-long, How about you get the first season done and see if anybody likes it, and then move on. Anyway, so the other red flag for me here is I said this when we talked about this story a few weeks ago. I wonder, is the Harry Potter universe of fans ready to watch a Harry Potter that is not Daniel Radcliffe? Are they ready to watch a Hermione that is not Emma Watson? Are they ready to watch a Ron that is not Rupert Grint? Or Gint? Or how do you pronounce his last name?
Grint.
Grint. So I said it right the first time. Grint. Are they ready for that? Who's going to be the new Dumbledore? Maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is yes. Or maybe not. Or maybe it's one of those things where, like, House of the Dragon, everybody says, I'm not going to watch that. And then when it comes out and it's awesome, everybody watches it. So, I don't know. I don't know.
They could blow us away with the tone of it.
They could.
Where unlike the first couple of movies where they were very kid-like related, it's a little more serious tone. And people are like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to be one of these mindless, just band haters where it's just like, no, it's automatic, nothing you can do to make this work. No, I got worries about it. I have trepidations about it, but there are things you could do here that could be pretty damn cool. Those books are much beloved, and to bring them back for a new generation is an interesting thing. But bringing it back for a new generation almost suggests that this new generation isn't just going back and watching the original Harry Potter anyway. And I don't know, I don't have kids, so maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know. Interesting move. I think it's really interesting they decided to make it official here. And it's also very interesting that they're going the route of Max and a series and not movies. But yeah, that is what it is. Interesting move. We'll see how that goes. Look, in all honesty, this could be something that blows up in their face like Universal's Monster Universe did. It also has, listen, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to poo-poo on this, but it's the truth. It has the potential to maybe be the next Game of Thrones. I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying I don't think you're being realistic if you don't at least acknowledge that potential is there. Potential for complete disaster? Yes. Potential for something very special? Also, yes. So it's like almost everything else in this business is going to come down to execution.
That's the image. It's pretty straightforward.
Look, they're maintaining the classic design of Hogwarts.
Yeah, even the typecast, the font.
The font is, well, of course, the font was part of the books.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're maintaining all that. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. What I'm going to be really curious to find out is what kind of budget do they give this thing? Do they give it a Will and Grace budget? Or do they give it a Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power kind of budget? I don't think they're going to give it $1 billion a season, but this could be a huge thing for them. So it'll be interesting. That's how we'll tell how serious they are about this, is how much money do they put into it. So that'll be a telltale sign.
Maxillions.
Oh, no. And all, by the way, also coming out, all theme songs for every new Max show will be played on the Maxophone. Will be the lead of all. Like even the Game of Thrones stuff, and played specifically by David Zaslav. He will play it himself. All right, so that's the Harry Potter thing. Ray, let's clip that one out.
There are two more that I think are really big, and I'm very excited about. The first one.
Wait a minute, are we going to spend some time and talk about this Barbie thing?
Fuck no.
No? Okay. All right.
All right. So
Cool kitchen.
The first one comes from one of my favorite news sites, Fangoria. They have announced that the Conjuring universe is set to expand with a new series at Max. Peter Safran and James Wan are set to continue the story established in the feature films. I cannot wait for this. I love the Conjuring franchise, and to see that they are back. It says this series is from franchise creator James Wan and producer Peter Safran. The series is in development for Max, and then it says previously HBO Max, in case there's any confusion.
Because there's not going to be any confusion. Because those marketing wizards wouldn't put out something that's going to cause confusion amongst their consumer base.
No.
Listen, I'm going to say this. I'm a fan of the Conjuring films.
Yeah.
I think they've done a really good job with I don't love every single one of them, but I like the Conjuring films. Can you do a series? Because that's what they're talking about, right? Doing a series.
Yeah, I'd be interested in each episode is its own case.
Well, that would very much be very supernatural, right? If you go back to I'm sure it's going to feel very different than the show Supernatural, but like a supernaturally charged thing of the week.
But also
you could do that, but you could have an overarching big bad behind it or something like that. Who
Might
knows?
also like Supernatural.
Yeah.
Right.
And let's not forget, like the show. What was it called? The Haunted House on Haunted Hill or whatever.
Right. Yeah. The Haunting of Hill House.
Hey, how do you
Haunting
know?
of Hill House. That was a hit, and now
Yeah.
we got HBO doing a series
With
on
James Wan connected to it.
on this topic.
Yeah.
This could blow up like super big. Like
It could.
especially if it scares the bejesus out of people. Jeez.
It very well could. All right. You said you got another one
I
there?
have another big one. So HBO orders Knight of Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Knight, a Game of Thrones prequel to focus on Sir Duncan the Tall. And I am 6'2", so if you need someone to play Sir Duncan the Tall, hit me up.
Listen, we have heard them talk about the fact that they are going to continue to expand with the success of House of the Dragon. They are going to continue to expand, the Seven Kingdoms. They're going to they continue to expand and get into Westeros and stuff like that. And I'm not surprised here. Now, the other day we heard about them developing a series based on the first Aegon and his two sister wives. There's a phrase you don't get to say all the time. But when he first comes over from Old Valyria and conquers the Seven Kingdoms, because he didn't conquer Dorne. But so there's that. Now there's this one as well. So I'm a little bit surprised to hear about this one because it sounds like they're going to be developing two at the same time. What are you smiling about?
Sorry. So, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, this
Oh,
is
dear.
not related to Game of Thrones. They have released the name of the tiers.
Oh no.
Okay,
On
so
the
now
subscription?
I don't know what this is, but just for context, currently there is the regular tier of HBO Max, and then there is the ad-supported tier of HBO Max. Now, the ad-supported tier was $9.99, and the regular full-fledged thing was $15.99, and apparently the pricing is staying the same. So they are no longer just going to call it ad-supported and regular. What are they
Oh
calling
my
it?
God, though.
Well, John, from the people who brought you Max,
Oh boy.
this is so hard to do with a straight face, you guys. The plans are three. There is Max Ad Light for $9.99. No, it's not a beer, or $99.99 a year.
Max ad.
And you
light.
get 2 concurrent streams. Don't cross them. Up next, we have Max Ad Free for $15.99 a month or $149 a year with also 2 concurrent streams. And then there's Max Ultimate Ad Free for $20 a month or $200 a year. You get 4 concurrent streams.
Okay, so you have Max Ad Light, Max Ad Free, which would be what the normal thing is now, I guess.
right.
And then Max. No,
Max
what's it?
Ultimate
Max
Ad
Ultimate.
Free.
Oh, they missed an opportunity
Yeah, I know
there.
they did.
Just called Max
Maximum
Max. Maximum Max. Maxing out the Max.
What's the difference between the mid tier and the top tier?
So the difference is you get
4 streams.
4 streams as opposed to
concurrent
2.
streams.
So like if the 4 of us lived in a house
Right,
together
right.
with the 2 bottom plans, each of us, I think Taylor right now is formulating a joke in his head. Don't do it. With the 2 bottom plans, the 2 of us could be watching HBO, different things on HBO at the same time.
Before you
With
can do like
Max, all 4 of us could be
you know what?
watching HBO Max at the same time.
my kids can watch Netflix if I'm on Max.
My kids can watch Netflix if I'm on Max. So Max Ad Light, Max Ad Free, and Max Ultimate.
Ad Free.
Max Ultimate.
So
It's the place where you
It
watch.
sounds like a
HBO
Japanese
ad-free.
game show.
wait, you said there's only 2 tiers right now.
Right now,
So
yes.
what happens is that they're going to send notices probably to everyone who's
Says, hey, if you want to up to the next, 'cause
Yeah.
I don't know how many streams do you get now currently with HBO Max?
I
Like
could try and look.
if you're just, I'm guessing it's probably limited to 2.
I thought it was unlimited.
That might be unlimited. I
'Cause
mean,
I was watching when you were watching one day.
No, that'd at least
really?
be 2.
Right now
Really?
it says it's
You're
on
using
3
my
devices.
really? I didn't know that. I'm
Currently
shocked.
3.
3.
It's currently 3.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're taking away something.
Taking one away or giving you an extra.
That's not the max.
It's not the max. I
Okay,
do.
so you
call it
currently, if you have the regular HBO Max, you currently are allowed to have 3 streams. But now your regular thing, you're only going to get to have 2. I'll be honest with you. I have never once had a situation
Yeah.
where I have 3 TVs on, all watching HBO Max at the same time.
They should
So
have called that maxed out.
but the new upper one gives you 4. All right, I'll call that an even wash. Interesting. All right. Guys, listen, that's a whole lot to talk about for HBO. But I mean, listen, again, some exciting things. The Penguin teaser is phenomenal. Think what you want about the Harry Potter thing. That's big. That is big. Whether it turns out to be good or bad, that's big. You got some Mogwai stuff, some Barbie stuff, some Robert Downey Jr., who apparently has given up on acting stuff. A lot of good.
I will say this, just because I just saw it, and I love Smart List, the podcast. They're doing a road show. It looks like it's coming to Max as well. So that's really cool.
Well, what
This
road
is
show?
Jason Bateman and the Smart List.
Oh, yeah, the podcast.
So they're doing a
They
show.
do a really good podcast.
Yeah. So that's cool.
If you guys haven't listened to that podcast, the first one I listened to, Soul got me to listen to one. Me and Soul were driving to Vegas one time, and he put it on for me for the first time. I'd never heard it, and it was the one that had Chris Pratt on. Mm-hmm. That was great. I fell in love with the podcast at that point. That was really good. Okay, so like some kind of thing with them. I like it.
Yeah, it says road show, so
All right.
it'll be a series.
That's interesting. Maybe that'll help them achieve their destiny. Mm-hmm. Still can't get over how stupid. Just to recap, for those of you joining us late, biggest brain fart in history of streaming services. Taking the most iconic, recognizable, venerable, honored name in television entertainment, HBO, taking that part out of your name and leaving the fucking stupid just Max. And then to confuse it more, the tagline for Max, the one to go to for HBO. How are people getting paid over there? How do you get a job? What kind of education do you need?
I'm in the wrong business.
I got an idea. Like this here, 7 years of marketing school. I got an idea. Let's take out HBO. But the tag will be the one to watch for HBO. I don't get it. Anyway, guys, what do you think about all this stuff? Go ahead and jump down. No. At some point, Ray becomes racist. At some point, we are not going to discuss what Ray just showed me.
I think that's cute.
We are not going to discuss what Ray just showed me. I
Did
don't
we
know.
talk
Maybe
about Dairy the series?
maybe I'll just stop giving a shit and we'll show it anyway. I don't know. Guys, whatever you think about that, go ahead, jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, listen, we actually have some pretty big other stuff to get. We're going to keep our eye on all things HBO for now, see if any new stuff comes out in the meantime. But there are a couple of interesting things here that I want to touch on before we get into our first break. And one of the things is this. One of the most exciting pieces of news that has been out there for a while is the fact that we got Deadpool 3 coming. We've waited years for that announcement. And Hugh Jackman is coming back to play. We're going to see Ryan Reynolds, good Canadian kid, and Hugh Jackman on screen together as Wolverine and Deadpool. Going to be fantastic. But as we talked about on the show the other day, Morena Baccarin, who plays Vanessa in the Deadpool movies, revealed that they had not been able to come to a deal yet. They've asked her about being in it, but her reps and the movie's reps have not been able to come to a deal. And I'm like, listen, you can do Deadpool 3 without Vanessa, but it would really be better if you had her in there. She's a key. She is the heart of everything that motivates Deadpool. Well, apparently the movie gods have heard. And according to a report now in Deadline, Morena Baccarin and Stefan Kapicic, it's probably a ch on there. I'm sorry, I've never heard his name spoken. The guy who does the voice of Colossus is set to return for Deadpool 3 as Vanessa and Colossus. And I'm so glad this came up because, you know, we were talking about when the Vanessa story came up that she may or may not be in there. I said, listen, there is no secondary character more important to Deadpool than Vanessa. If we had extended that conversation to the next most important, it would be Colossus. That shot kills me. Colossus in these movies, I mean, he's the heart of it. He brings so much heart and warmth and humor. Colossus in these movies is just such a great character. And by the way, his fight against Juggernaut in Deadpool 2 is awesome. I love that fight there. Anyway, so it looks like both of them are going to be back in here. Now, this just broke just before we started the show. And this is what they're writing over at Deadline. Exclusive. Ryan Reynolds is looking to get the gang back together again for Marvel. New Deadpool sequel as Morena Baccarin and Stefan Kapicic are set to reprise their roles as Vanessa and Colossus, respectively. Reynolds recently announced Karen Soni and Leslie Uggams would return as Dopinder and Blind Al, who, like Vanessa and Colossus, appear in the first two films. So, yep, the whole gang The whole gang is back together again, and I am super excited for it. I think this is fantastic. I love Morena Baccarin, whether she was even in bad shows like the V remake. Like even in that, she's bad. Even in shows that I thought were okay, like Gotham, loved her in that. And of course, where most people will recognize her from outside of Deadpool is, of course, Serenity and Firefly. Loved her in those shows. I think she's terrific. She's beautiful. She's got incredible talent. She can own a screen when she's on it. And most importantly, for this context, she's got terrific chemistry with Ryan Reynolds. Her and Ryan Reynolds just have fabulous chemistry together. I don't know that there's ever been a romance in a comic book movie that I've liked more. I hate most romances in comic book movies with very, very few exceptions. Tony and Pepper, Peter and Gwen, and why am I freezing? Druig and Makari in Eternals. And that's about it. That's a short list out of like the 50 comic book movies that have had romances. That's a really short list. But Ryan Reynolds and Morena Baccarin have terrific chemistry together, and I love that Colossus is going to be back there. Love it. Now we just got to find out if Negasonic Teenage Warhead will be there too. And what was her girlfriend's name? Is it Yuki? Girl? Yuki? Hi, Yuki. Hi, Wade. She's adorable. She's adorable. I just want to see them say that 15 times. I can just watch her say 7 times in a movie. Hi, Wade. I loved her. I thought she was absolutely adorable. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It's now all set. The whole gang is back together again now for Deadpool 3. Colossus and Vanessa will be there. Are you glad about that? Maybe you don't care. Whatever you guys think, jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's talk about this one just quickly here. There is a brand new John Wick universe, really the first spinoff of the John Wick universe. We've got the ballerina is, of course, coming with Ana
de Armas.
Ana de Armas, thank you, is going to be in there. And very excited about that. But the one that I've always wanted to see ever since the first John Wick movie was the Continental. Just a movie about, or a series about, the mythology behind the Continental hotel system within this underworld that John Wick lives in. And we heard a long time ago that a series was coming. But then again, I think that goes all the way back to the movie blog days. And not the movie blog days, but movie talk days. I think they've been talking about a Continental series like for over 6 years. And now here we are. It's actually happening. And yesterday, the first poster dropped. And normally what happens when a poster drops, very, very quickly, a trailer will drop. Well, today, the first teaser trailer for the Continental dropped. And it gave us a little bit of information. Number one, it kind of revealed for us that it does take place apparently in the 70s. So that's interesting. We heard rumors that it was going to take place in some kind of time period, but apparently the trailer just starts off in the 70s. So we got a little bit of that. And then really not much. I mean, it is very much, we know it's a 3-part series, so kind of very British in that way, I guess. So it's going to be a 3-part series, and we only really get a glimpse at the end of who I can only assume is Winston at the end. Now, a lot of people were wondering, are we going to see John Wick in it? John Wick would be really young if this is in the 70s, so I don't know that we're going to see John Wick in it. But really, this is a perfect time to do this. Let's go over to the classroom for a second. Because if you look at the history of John Wick, right? We look at this movie. The first John Wick movie made $86 million. Second John Wick movie went up to $171 million. Third John Wick movie went up to $327 million. And right now, John Wick 4, which has only been in the theaters for a couple of beats, is already at $270 million. It will probably pass John Wick 3. Probably. I mean, it's possible that it won't, but I think it's pretty safe to say at this point it'll pass John Wick 3. So the momentum, and by the way, John Wick 4, probably the best of the franchise. I loved this movie. It's so good. But you see, it says, so we're kind of at the crest and the cresting of the popularity of John Wick 4. This is a good time to bring in stuff like Ballerina, to bring in stuff like Continental. So again, it's just a first teaser that we're getting here. It's really just a first teaser. So I don't think there's anything in here to get, we can go back to the full screen, Jonathan. It's really not much here to get terribly excited about or worked up about. But again, just the fact that it sets a little bit of tone, sets a little bit of context. And again, my favorite phrase, tangibilization. It's actually real, because there have been times that I started to doubt that this was actually going to happen. But it looks good to me. I like what I saw. Guys, question is for you. Did you see the first teaser for the Continental? What do you think about it? Maybe you don't think it's even necessary. Maybe you think John Wick needs to be about John Wick and we don't really care about anything else in the universe. That's fair. Maybe you're like me and you're actually wanting to see more of this world that John Wick lived in. That's fair too. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's do this now too. And I'm going to bring up a spoiler warning. Mandalorian season 3 continued last night. Episode, I believe it's 7. Episode 7 of Mandalorian came out last night. And I am going to talk about some things in detail here. If you have not seen Mandalorian episode 7 yet, and you don't want to know anything about it, as long as this spoiler warning here is up, go ahead and hit mute. Go ahead and hit mute. And Jonathan, guys, try not to show any images that might be considered spoilers. Right? Random pictures of Bo-Katan or Mando will be fine. But I am going to mention audibly. So once this spoiler things comes down, you can hit mute. All right? Fair. This season of Mandalorian has been hit and miss. I would even go so far as to lean a little bit towards a little bit more miss than hit. There's been some really good stuff in it, but also I still don't know what was going on with the last episode. I thought that last episode was pretty bad. But I have confidently said, Ray, they got 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
They can nail this thing. They can land it with 2 episodes. You know what? I don't know that they have salvaged season 3 with episode 7, but it was a step in the right direction. This was a good episode.
Okay.
This is a good episode. Not a top 3 or 4 best episode of Mandalorian so far, but a solid, good episode. You know what? This could have been episode 1 or 2. I mean, this episode is what this season should have been. We shouldn't just be getting to the retaking of Mandalore in the second last episode. I that felt weird to me. And I'm just going to talk about the negatives first so I can get them out of the way, and then I can focus on some of the positive things. One of the big negatives to me is that same complaint I've had about all the Mandalorian stuff, including the stuff that I've loved, which is everything in the Mandalorian feels small. It's like, we're going to go retake Mandalore. So you think, oh, you're going to go retake a planet? Cool. What, 200,000, 300,000 Mandalorians strong? Nah, I think we're about 45 people. 45 people. Really? That gaggle of 45 people. That's who this Imperial gang now, the reorganizing empire, that's what they're so afraid of. Oh no, if these 45 Mandalorians go back to Mandalore, we could be in trouble. Not so much as it turns out, but it goes back to, right? Remember that Grief was trying to save his planet. Mm-hmm. His planet was 30 people hanging out together in the desert. Like everything about Mandalorian, they always make it feel really small and talk about it on a grander scale.
That's how I felt about Rings of Power.
A little bit about, yeah, Rings of Power.
The humans village, it felt like there was 50 people in that village.
Yep, that's their whole society.
Yeah.
And that I could understand, considering they at least still say it's a village.
Right. But they said all of
this is
mankind.
like planet.
Yeah.
Like all throughout Mandalorian, this planet, and this planet's like 8 guys or something like that. So that still kind of wears on me a little bit. It really does point to that the whole sub-story in the first couple of episodes about IG-11 was really kind of a waste for what they ended up doing. Even though they end up doing something pretty cool with him here, they didn't need that whole setup stuff in the first couple of episodes at all. They didn't need that at all. So now Baby Yoda is a Gundam pilot. Yeah, which is actually pretty cool. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I laughed a lot at yes. Scene cuts to outside. Still, yes. I got to admit, at first I thought that's kind of cheesy. And then I found myself that I was giggling and laughing pretty good. Seeing the return of Moff Gideon. Finally, they waited to the second last episode to bring back Moff Gideon. They waited till the second last episode to mention Grand Admiral Thrawn. The figures who kind of represent the main antagonists of the series, you don't even mention them. We don't get to see them until the end or the second to last episode of the season. I mean, that's kind of frustrating, but still, when he shows up, business picks up. and get to see the Mandalorians get into battle and into fight, to see Bo-Katan pull out and use the Darksaber. And listen, I have been falling in love with the Paz Vizsla character. And I see a lot of people complaining online about how Paz Vizsla buys it, but I thought it was a noble, heroic, wonderful end. Not only was it noble and heroic, like him dying to save the rest of his covert because this is the way, but the fact that it's like he took out an entire battalion of Beskar armored troopers, took them all out, and it took not one, not two, but 3 Praetorian guards, took 3 Praetorian Red Guards to finally take him down. So I get it. People who like Paz Vizsla are like, oh, this sucks the way they took him out. What are you talking about? To me, that is the grandest, most noble, awesome, heroic end for that character. I thought that was great. As somebody who's really come to really like that character, I thought that was a hero's end. A hero's end for him. I thought that was fantastic. If some random stormtrooper had snuck up on him and punched him in the balls and then he died, yeah, then I'd be like, come on,
Hey.
you're doing Paz Vizsla dirty.
And remember, he has a son too.
That's right.
He's next in line, baby. We're not losing a heavy armored Mandalorian.
Well, I don't know if his son can carry his gun, but still.
Yeah, that's there.
He's
That
going to seek
angle's
vengeance.
there. They need it.
This kid's going to grow up and seek vengeance. So like if that had happened, yeah, they did him dirty, but they gave him the most Mandalorian of Mandalorian deaths. If Mandalore has a Valhalla, Paz Vizsla got a one-way ticket to Valhalla, man. And I thought that was a great ending for him. And it leaves on a kind of a dirty cliffhanger, right? Din is captured. Paz Vizsla is dead. They're on the run. The Praetorian Guard have showed up. I don't know if these are the exact same 3 dudes that we see in the Star Wars sequels. Yeah. I don't know if it's the exact same 3 dudes. Maybe it is the same 3 dudes. I don't know. But it's I thought it was a solid episode, man.
Well, they got that Walmart C-3PO.
Yeah, more Walmart C-3PO. And Grief showing up and giving a bottle of wine. Ultimately, he had nothing to do in this episode. Really, he accomplished nothing in this episode.
They're talking about what they're going to rename HBO Max to right there.
Just call it Grief or Navarro.
The
home for Apollo Creed. So, yeah, listen, I thought, again, not a top 4 or 5 best Mandalorian episodes so far, but easily, to me, the best episode of the season. I thought this, and the thing is this is what disappoints me. Oh, so you are capable of you're still capable of giving us this level of stuff. Because I'll tell you what, and it wasn't just the action and, Moff Gideon shows up. Oh, no, who cares? Any 5-year-old can write that. It's the moments, the dialogue's great. There's a great scene in this episode where Bo-Katan is, I keep wanting to say, Catan. What's the name of the game?
Oh, Settlers of Catan.
Settlers Catan. Whenever I say Bo-Katan, I have to want to say Settlers of Catan. So Bo-Katan and Din have this great conversation where she's still feeling the guilt and the weight of the fact that she lost it to Moff Gideon in the first place. And then Din gives her a speech. I don't care about this. I care about honor. I care about courage. I care about this. And then he says this great line. That is why I follow you, Lady Bo-Katan Kryze. And that's why I will continue to follow you. And the look on her face, that's good writing. Something that this season has been lacking, to be quite frank and honest with you. But this episode didn't just have, oh, good, Grand Moff Gideon is there. Yay. Ooh, the Praetorian are there. Yay. It's not just that. There was good writing in it. There was good dialogue. There was good drama being laid. And that's something, again, that I think this season of Mandalorian has kind of been missing a little bit. So, hey, they might be getting to it late, but it gives me hope that they're going to finish strong. Gives me hope that they're going to finish strong with the final episode. So we'll see how they do. Guys, question is for you. Now that the spoiler warning is down, what did you think about the newest episode of The Mandalorian? Did you think it was a decided, like I did, that's a big turn upwards for the season? Did you think, no, not, it's just same? Or maybe you've loved the whole season the whole time. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to skip one and move on to the next thing here. One of the things that I mentioned on the show the other day, that a new weekly segment that we're going to start here. It's a segment I used to do years ago, but I don't honestly know why we ever stopped doing it. But we're doing a new weekly segment called Power Rankings, where every week we're going to look at what's in movie theaters. And the rule is it's got to be in at least 1,000 theaters. All right? Because if it's in 1,000 theaters, that means you, wherever you are, you probably can still go out to a theater and see it. If it's in like 200 theaters, it might not be playing anywhere around you. So the rule is for our weekly power rankings, as we count down the top 5 movies, what we consider to be the best 5 movies in theaters right now, it's got to be in at least 1,000 theaters. All right? So let's go over to our first week of April 12th countdown of our power rankings for the top 5 movies in theaters right now. At number 5, still in over 1,000 theaters. It's a great follow-up, a great third chapter. Creed 3, solid movie. Enjoyed this very much. I still maybe think the first Creed is the best one of the trilogy. I thought this was a step up over the second one. Had great character, great drama. Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan had great chemistry together. I believe they had a history together. Some creative choice about the fight, but the fight, you could feel the emotion behind it. I always say action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. With every punch thrown in this, you could feel the drama behind it, their background, their history that they have, the betrayal, and all that kind of stuff. I really like this movie. Creed 3 takes number 5 spot on our power rankings. Number 4 on the power rankings right now, Super Mario Brothers. This, now you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, and you've heard me talk about, the story is pretty weak, right? But then again, story has never been the highlight of any Mario game, right? The Mario Brothers movie does suffer a little bit from lack of a pretty good story, but you know what? They compensate. They compensate with great humor. They compensate with great nostalgia. They compensate with great moments. And they compensate by just being entertaining. So, is this going to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards? No. But you know what? I just had a lot of fun watching this movie.
And the animation just looks great.
And the animation looks fantastic. Everything about the animation looks very true to the video game styles. And by the time we all walked out of the theater after watching, we all just felt good. And that's what movies should do, man. They should make you feel good. I mean, some movies should make you feel heavy and horrible and scared and whatever, depending on what the movie's going for. But for a lot of movies, you just want to walk out of the movie theater feeling good and smiling. And that's what the Super Mario Brothers movie delivers. So Super Mario, the movie, is the number 4 spot on our power rankings. Okay. Moving up to number 3 now. Coming in third, just above Super Mario Brothers, is Dungeons and Dragons. Now, this movie is not doing financially well. And that was to be expected. We all said for a long time, I didn't understand their decision to make this movie in the first place because I didn't think it had any hope of really making any money. And it's probably going to end up losing money. But that does not take away from the fact that the movie's fantastic. Both the critic and audience scores for this movie are both in the 90% range. It was far better than this movie had any business being. I absolutely adored it. I was so impressed and so surprised by simply how much fun the movie was and how much it felt to me like this was made by people who play D&D, because watching everything in the movie felt like I was watching a bunch of people playing the game. And for somebody who plays the game, that's a pretty big deal. And if you didn't play the game, this was the coolest thing about Dungeons and Dragons, is reading all the comments from people in my review saying, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons and I loved this movie. It's absolutely fantastic. So again, at number 5, we got Creed 3. In the number 4 spot, we have Super Mario Brothers, the movie. At the number 3 spot, we have Dungeons and Dragons. In the number 2 spot right now in our power rankings this week is John Wick 4. My God, you just think to yourself, how long can you keep going with this? How long can you keep going with John Wick just doing gun fu and killing a lot of people? Turns out, forever, because it's always great. I think Chapter 4 is the best of the bunch of the franchise. Again, like Dungeons and Dragons, both the audience and the critic scores are in the 90th percentile range. It's on pace right now to be the biggest of the franchise, already sitting at $270 million. It'll probably cross the 327 mark to pass John Wick 3. Maybe it won't. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to. And you'd think that at almost a 3-hour runtime, you'd be too exhausted with the type of action that's in this. Nope. They found a way to make it work, man, and make it work. It's exhilarating. It kept you on the edge of your seat. So you know when some big thing happens in an action thing and you kind of go, boo, right? There's like 9 of those in this movie.
There's a lot of dopamine hits in this movie.
A lot of dopamine hits in this movie, man.
That's that shot, not giving anything away, but just that overhead shot. It just kept going, and I just started laughing.
It's so good.
You just got overwhelmed. You just started laughing at it.
And that ridiculous gun that comes out with those ridiculous rounds. Incredible. So, again, number 5, Creed 3. Number 4, Super Mario Brothers. Number 3, Dungeons & Dragons. Number 2, John Wick. And topping my power rankings, finally, I was late to the party. I finally got around to seeing it after people have been asking me all week, have you seen it? Have you seen it? I've finally seen it. Woo! And guys, the hype is real. All these people you hear saying it's the best movie of the year so far, they're right. We're talking about Air. The Matt Damon, Ben Affleck directed movie Air, looking around how the Air Jordans came to be. This, I was kind of setting myself up for disappointment, I think, that because I'm a big Ben Affleck fan. I love these style movies, love Matt Damon, whole bit. And I love these kind of movies that are telling the stories about something that we just take for granted, whether it's Facebook or whether it's a shoe or whatever, and telling the behind the scenes story of it. And I walked in and it lived up to every bit of hype that everybody's talked about. It's really a wonderful film. I suspect, even though it's so early in the year, I think this is going to get nominated for Best Picture of the Year. And if it's not, then we've got a great year ahead of us. If 10 other movies come out that are better than Air this year, this is going to be one hell of a year. But I absolutely loved it. It lived up to all the hype for me. So once again, our top 5 power rankings for the week of April 12th. I think these are the 5 films you got to make sure you go out and see in order. Number 5, Creed 3. Number 4, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Number 3, Dungeons & Dragons. Number 2, John Wick 4. And number 1 spot is Air. Go and check those out. Guys, question is for you. How does my power rankings list compare to yours? Remember, the rule is it's got to be still in at least 1,000 theaters. So don't mention a movie that's in 5 screens right now. How does my list add up to yours? Would you take off one of the films that are in my list? Would you rearrange it a little bit? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a moment here and thank a couple of the sponsors of this show here today. Our good fumes. Oh, no. Our great fumes, man. Our good friends over at Fume. And, of course, keeping us smooth and silky, Manscaped. Guys, we want to take a minute and thank the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Listen, cold turkey may be great on sandwiches, but there is a better way to break your habits. And we're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or putting Vaseline on your feet under your socks. No, we're talking about our sponsor, Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Not everything in a bad habit is wrong, so instead of a drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? And Fume is an innovative, award-winning device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fumes is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air, and instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all-natural, delicious flavors. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. When I first got my Fume, I couldn't believe how beautiful the design was. It's perfectly weighted, and when I breathed it in the first time, I was blown away by just how fresh it tasted. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use the code CAMPEA to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use the code CAMPEA to save an additional 10% off your order today. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Gentlemen, if you didn't already know, it's tax season here in the US, and you know what that means? It means that Manscaped is here to make sure your paperwork is done and your boys downstairs are having fun. Make sure you spend your tax return money on the important things in life, like family, friends, and ball deodorant. Join the 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea. Guys, you know I love all my Manscaped products, from the body wash to the lawnmower, an elegant tool for a more enlightened age. So what better way to invest your tax return than into yourself? Manscaped has the full package from head to toe to make sure you get your money's worth this April. The Performance Package 4.0 is the ultimate bundle you need to reinvent yourself and your confidence. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is the star of the show, offering a precise shave on all your widest hedges, equipped with an LED light so you can navigate in and out of those difficult areas with ease. The Performance Package 4.0 now includes Manscaped's brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. And don't forget, for all my international friends out there with a little bit of scruff, Manscaped now has beard products. The start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. Manscaped has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. Don't just get your money back this year, get your swagger back too with Manscaped. And thank you to our friends at Fume and Manscaped for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that all down, let's take it into the home stretch here by going over to our Mint Mobile hotline questions of the day. If you guys have questions for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline number anytime, 24/7, totally free at 951-268-4259. We got a number of questions here today, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the use of modern tools in VFX. Check it out.
Hey, John. Mike from Miami. With Celebration on the back burner, there's this new Kenobi fan edit floating around by a guy named Pixel Joker 95. Apparently, he's an industry VFX artist who worked on Andor and House of the Dragon. Have you had a chance to check out his trailers? And with industry-level tech becoming readily available to the masses, do you think this is a good sign for the future of independent filmmaking, not having to rely on paying tons of money to VFX houses? Thanks.
All right, Mike from Miami. Thanks a lot for calling that in. And first of all, the whole notion, the re-edit, there have been a couple of re-edits of Obi-Wan that people have taken and edited it down into a movie with some proper editing, moving some things around, adding a couple little things here and there that made, and we've talked about before, that have made Obi-Wan, their fan edits, their Obi-Wan movie, far superior to the Disney Plus Obi-Wan series. And this is another one that they're talking about here that's going to be coming out. And yes, I have seen the trailers. They look great. But the interesting part of your question is about, with new tools coming out for VFX that can be available. Listen, there was, back when I used to work in a visual effects company, the main tool that we used, the main software we used was by NewTek, the same company that makes TriCasters. You may have heard of TriCasters. But NewTek also made a piece of CGI visual effects 3D animation software called Lightwave. And we used to use that. And I can't even remember how much we had to pay for that. But like Lightwave, I think today you can get a license for it for $1,000. Like literally a software that people use, that we used to do visual effects in Sin City and other actual feature films and movies that you would go to, right? You can get that for $1,000. I think Maya is another big dominant thing. I think Maya is still around. And then there's a software a lot of people use called Blender. And there's like a whole bunch of these pieces of software that can, and then of course you got your standard compositing, top-notch software in things like Adobe After Effects. And of course, DaVinci Resolve has Fusion, which is free, by the way. You can get DaVinci Fusion for free, at least most of the functionalities in it. And so all these tools are now available to everybody. You can just get it. Some are a little bit more expensive, yeah, but a lot less expensive than they used to be. And some are actually free. So does this open the opportunity for like indie films to be able to do high level, fantastic visual effects without having to go, I think that's Fusion, is it not?
Yeah.
Yep. The way they use the node system there.
Right.
The node system is very confusing, by the way. It took me a while to wrap my head around it. But does this open a new era, if you will, for indie filmmakers to be able to have top-notch, pure, big blockbuster Hollywood visual effects without having to go to visual effects company because you can just go and get the software for really, really cheap? Unfortunately, the answer is kind of no. And here's why. A tool is just a tool. You got to have the hands of a craftsman to be able to do anything with it. Here's a great example. I own a hammer and a screwdriver. I'm good at a lot of things. I am no handyman. But John, you have the tools. You can go and fix that wall because you have all the tools. You have the screwdrivers, you have the levels, you have the hammers. I don't know what the hell these things are called. You have all these, you can go fix it. I'm like, nope, it doesn't matter that I have the tools. I do not have the skills to go and fix that wall. Let's look at it from the terms of music. You know how long GarageBand has been made available? You can make a broadcast industry standard sounding album if you want using GarageBand. And of course, there's other stuff like Logic and a lot of other high level music production stuff, but it's all really super cheap now. Some of it free. If you wanted to make a industry sounding album, you have the tools to do it. So why don't everybody you know have a number one hit song? Because having the tool is just having the tool. You got to have the skill. You got to have the talent. You got to have the ability to use that tool to do something magical with it. I cannot make a world-class Gordon Ramsay, what's his dish again? The beef wrapped in the pastry.
Oh,
Beef Wellington.
Beef Wellington, yeah.
Yep. You can put all the ingredients in front of me. Say, there, you've got the stuff to make the perfect Gordon Ramsay Beef Wellington. I will not be able to do it. I do not have the skill. I do not have the experience. I don't have the talent to do that. And so, while yes, the tools are available for indie filmmakers and anybody to do some stuff, the reality is if you want something that's great, you still need the people who are great at it. You still need the people with the skill and the training and the talent. And those people deserve to get paid their worth. And it ain't cheap. And that's why it's a lot cheaper sometimes just to go to the big VFX houses and stuff like that. So, does it open a world of possibilities now that these tools are available to everybody? Yes, it opens a world of possibility. But going from possibility and then manifesting that into a Hollywood blockbuster kind of visual effects, it still takes the right people to do it. And whenever you need people to do things, that's going to cost money. So a little bit of yes, a little bit of no. Guys, question is for you. Have you ever played around with a lot of these very inexpensive, sometimes free tools? Listen, I remember the first time I did lightsaber visual effects using After Effects. It was like, I'm going to make a big motion picture. But yeah, it turns out to be a little bit different in reality. What do you guys think about all that? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. We got two big Marvel movies that are coming out. We got Guardians of the Galaxy, which is coming up in May. And we've just had the first trailer for the Marvels. And I am very excited about both. I just got more excited for Marvels. I mean, I was a little bit tempered to my excitement for Marvels because I didn't know how they're going to make it feel, whatever. I really like the trailer. And I understand there are people who didn't. That's fine. I thought the trailer was really good. Which is certainly a lot better than a lot of the crap I've seen Marvel put out lately. Because in the last couple of years, Marvel has been very, very hit and miss with me. For every Shang-Chi, there's been a She-Hulk. You know, it's been a mixed bag. So I kind of like that I have a couple things coming here that I can be excited about. But being Marvel and being these big movies, they're going to come with expectations. And both of them, I believe, have potential Achilles heels that could lead to a failure of both of these films. And each one of them is unique. And we'll go through them one by one. And we'll start off with the first one, which is brought to us by our next caller on the hotline.
Hey, John and crew. Love you guys. I love the Marvels. He's teaser trailer, maybe because I've seen every Marvel show and movie there is, so I'm up to date. But what about other people who have not watched the shows? How will this affect the Marvels movie? Please let me know your thoughts. Bye.
All right, so we caught him just as he was getting ready to go down for his nap, I think. But, but he brings up a great point about the Marvels. A great point about the Marvels, which while I enjoyed the trailer, and I did, I enjoyed the trailer quite a bit, mostly because it also heavily features Kamala Khan, and I loved Ms. Marvel. That's one of the few Marvel things that I've truly loved in the past couple of years, because there's not a lot of Marvel stuff that I've truly loved. Few things, Ms. Marvel was one of them. But he brings up a great point, and this is the Achilles heel. This is the failure point, the potential failure point for the Marvels, which is, this is great if you've watched Disney Plus. Because if you didn't watch WandaVision on Disney Plus, and guess what? Not everybody did. You're watching this Captain Marvel 2, and you're seeing, Photon, and you're like, who's that? What's going on here? If you didn't watch Ms. Marvel, and listen, as good as that show is, not a ton of people watched it. They should have watched it because it's fucking fantastic, but not a lot of people did. One of the lower watched things that Disney Plus has. But if you didn't watch Ms. Marvel, you're watching this trailer for the first time and going, okay, cool. Who are any of these people? All right, I see Nick Fury. Great. And we see a few moments with Carol Danvers. Okay, I know her. That's Captain Marvel. I saw the movie. Who the hell are these other two? And that points to something that's not just a potential Achilles heel or failure point for this movie, but one of Marvel's general dangers they have is they've gotten deeper and deeper into their cinematic universe, which is this, is they are now starting to put out movies and shows that you have homework to do before you watch them. It never used to be. For the first 3 phases of the MCU, you never had to make sure you watch something else first in order to be able to watch this and understand it and be able to follow it. And that has started to change with Marvel. It used to be, this was the brilliant thing. I've said this before, but one of the big things besides quality movies, the biggest key to success for the Marvel Cinematic Universe becoming the biggest powerhouse in the history of the box office is the fact that every single movie they put out was a viable entry point for a new fan. You never watched a single thing of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before, but Ms. Marvel's coming, or Captain Marvel's coming out, I should say. Cool. You can watch Captain Marvel and you're not going to be lost. There'll be a few nuances that go over your head, sure, but you're not going to feel lost at all. Never seen a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie before, but this Doctor Strange movie's coming out? No problem. You can go and watch Doctor Strange from beginning to end, the first Doctor Strange that is, and you won't be lost at all. Because every single movie was like that. And when you make your franchise, where every chapter you put out is a viable entry point for a brand new fan, then you're going to start to accumulate fans really, really fast, especially if you put out quality product. But what has happened? Now we are getting into the point, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe has gotten so top heavy that now there are things coming out where you do have to make sure you've watched certain things first. There are prerequisites. Because if you did not watch WandaVision and just walked into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you're going, what the fuck is going on here? Wanda's a hero. What? Now, if you watch WandaVision, you know she started her process of Breaking Bad. And then you get into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I didn't love that movie, but I thought she was a terrific antagonist. I thought Wanda was a great antagonist, but if you didn't watch WandaVision, you're going in there, what the hell is happening? Wait, why is she suddenly a bad guy? What the hell's happening, right? And it wasn't on a big scale, it was on a modest scale, but still, that was the start of the process. And now, if you're not a Disney Plus subscriber and you haven't watched Ms. Marvel, and again, not a lot of people have, and you haven't watched WandaVision, you got 2 of your 3 main characters in there, and you're like, I have no idea who these people are. But this trailer is acting like I should know who they are. But you don't. And if we're going to talk about failure points, I think the failure point here for the Marvels is going to be just that, is that this is a movie that seems to be predicated on the audience needing to do homework before watching it. And that is something the Marvel Cinematic Universe never did through their first three things. We talked a lot about, I had a friend of mine who had never seen a single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and then Infinity War came out. And they watched Infinity War, they were able to watch it, no problem. Because that's the way Kevin Feige made the movies. Every movie was an entry point. And they're kind of getting away from that. So I agree with you, our sleepy friend, that I think this is going to be a problem for them. And they're going to have to make some trailers in the coming months, you know, hopefully much closer to when the release of this movie, which is November. They're going to have to make some trailers that do not make it feel like you're going to be lost if you watch this movie. And that's going to be a tall order. So we'll see what they do. So that to me is the failure point of the Marvels. If it's going to fail, that's going to be one of the things that's going to hurt it. All right. Now there's another big Marvel movie coming out sooner, just in May. We're in the final home stretch now of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming out, and it might have a failure point of its own, as we hear in this next hotline question.
Hi, John. My name is Jose Jorges, and I was asking myself what happened if Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 fails. I believe that if this movie fails to make $150 million opening weekend, and around $750 million worldwide, it'll be considered disappointed. What do you think Disney will do? Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't think he meant 3.4 billion. I think he meant $750 million. Like, if this movie does not make $3.4 billion, it's a failure. That's some high standards there. No, $750 million. So about $750 million. And yeah, I first of all, I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 needs to make $150 million opening weekend. I don't think it does. I think it needs to have a strong opening weekend. I think they're looking for it to have 100 plus. The big question is going to be the legs it has and what will it make overall. And I don't think it necessarily needs to make 750 million. Like, it can be profitable at like 550, 600 million. As long as it's profitable, that's the important thing. But it has the potential to be a $1 billion film. But what is its failure point? What is the one real big cause of concern for Guardians of the Galaxy that I believe could lead to it maybe having a disappointing result? Because you know me, I'm a big James Gunn fanboy. I'm excited about this movie. Can't wait to see it. But I think if there is a potential for it to trip up, and if there is a potential for it to come under 100 million opening weekend or under 700 million at the box office overall, I think its failure point is this. I have watched now a few promos for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I know the Guardians of the Galaxy very well. I'm excited to see the movie. But I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has fallen into the same kind of trap that a lot of big Hollywood films have in the last couple of years, and that is this. I've watched the trailer. I still can't tell you what the movie's about. I get it. We're going to learn a little bit about Rocket's background. Okay. But what's the story of this movie? We see the High Evolutionary in the trailers. They've never named him, and we have no idea what he's doing. I mean, if you know the comics and all that kind of stuff, and you have a pre-existing background knowledge of it, you got a little bit more of that. But the trailers for this movie, while I have enjoyed them, the reality is they haven't really done anything to tell you what the movie's about. And whenever a big movie like this has come out where trailers have never really given the audience much information as to what the movie's about, they tend to underperform. One of the best examples, or worst examples of this, I should say, was the brilliant Denis Villeneuve film Blade Runner 2049. That movie's fantastic. I'm not even a Blade Runner fan, but Blade Runner 2049 was fantastic. Had great visual effects, had a legacy title. But guess what? And I complained about this long before the movie came out. You could watch the trailers for Blade Runner 2049 and you never had any idea what the movie was about. Now listen, I'm not talking about what some people say. Well, what do you want them to give the whole movie away? No. There is middle ground between not letting the audience know even remotely what your movie's about and giving everything away. There is a good, happy middle ground in there. Top Gun Maverick was great at that. Top Gun Maverick's advertising did a great job of kind of laying out, here's what's happened. This is the story of it. Now come find out what happens, right? That's what a good trailer should do. And that's how they really nailed the Top Gun Maverick marketing. And I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 right now is kind of fallen into that same trap that other movies like a Blade Runner 2049. And ultimately, what happened with Blade Runner 2049? It tanked. Now, I'm not saying Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to tank. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it could be the next billion-dollar club film. Totally could be. I'm just saying that if there is going to be a failure point and something that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 can trip over and stumble on, it could possibly be the fact that average movie fans have watched the trailers for these and couldn't really tell you what the movie's about. You could with the first Guardians movie. You even could with the second Guardians movie. But with this one, we see the High Evolutionary. The average audience doesn't even know that that's the bad guy. So, yeah, if we're going to look at the upcoming Marvel films, the Marvels and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and what could be their tripping points, what could be those failure points, I think for the Marvels is going to be the fact that it's a movie that people are going to have to do background homework on. They're going to have watched the Disney shows, and not everybody has, and that could be a problem for them. With Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think it's something different. I think it's the fact that their marketing, while been kind of fun, hasn't actually told the general audience, here's the basic thing of what the movie's about. Here's what the movie's about. And they haven't told us that. All we know is that we're going to get some background on Rocket, and that's about it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think? If you had to look at the Marvels and the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and say, hey, like, if either one of them are going to stumble and come up short, what's going to be that tripping point for each of them? Do you agree with my tripping points and what I think could be the failure points here? Do you think it could be something else that does it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, we're going to go over and start taking your questions that you guys have sent in to our tip link at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. Remember, you can send in those questions anytime, 24/7, and you'll probably hear them answered on the very next John Campea show, like today's, or in an upcoming open mic. So we got a bunch of those questions that we're going to get to here. But before we do, we want to take just a moment and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show. Our friends at Rocket Money, and of course, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and, of course, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, for sponsoring this episode of The John Campea Show. Okay, guys, let's finish things off here today by going to your questions that you guys have been firing in. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
Okay, first up, we've got Goku. I don't know if this is a dumb question, but how does working as a low-level actor work? Is it viable? Do you have to be constantly searching for jobs? I honestly don't know and always wondered. Thanks.
Now, it's really too bad that Aaron is moving to New York and is here, or that Chris is. You just happened to ask that question on Wednesday, which is Chris's day off. But as somebody who has auditioned a lot of people and who is friends with a lot of actors, it's exactly that. I know a couple of my friends, they are literally going out to like 12, 15 auditions a week and, to get parts. And it's a tough thing, man. Cause listen, if you live in LA, every day, 500 new aspiring actors and actresses are getting off the bus, coming in from their hometown somewhere to come to LA to pursue their dream. I had a drop go down the wrong pipe there. So yeah, that's basically it. You just work and work and work, try to find those gigs, get those gigs, hopefully get discovered, maybe get into the SAG union, maybe get an agent at some point. It's a tough grind, man. That's why I have a lot of respect for actors.
A lot of it is searching for commercial work.
Yep. That's a good way to get started. Because commercial work can get you SAG accreditation too.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Constantly shooting commercials by my house. Hot Rod Todd writes, do you think Illumination played it safe with the Mario Brothers movie so it would make Nintendo more open to letting them use other IPs in the future or in future movies? Similar to Toho and Godzilla after the 98 fiasco, studios needed to earn back the IP owner's trust.
Well, remember, I think this is going to be with me for the rest of the show now. It's right there. It won't go anywhere. I think Nintendo was part of the process every step of the way. I think Nintendo was very much part of the process. I don't think Nintendo just went, hey, Illumination, go make a movie. And then a year, 2 years later, they came back, here's the movie we made. So, but did they play it safe? Well, I think the answer to that is yes. I think both Illumination and Nintendo decided to kind of play it safe, which is why I don't think you have a lot of story in the movie. And they just relied and went to the things that they knew would work, the things they knew that would delight the audience. And they kept it simple. I mean, it's the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And I think that worked for them a lot. I don't know why my phone is not muted. I think that worked for them. And I think now that they've laid that groundwork, I think you might see them get a little bit more bold to try to, build a little bit more narrative into the thing moving forward. But it certainly worked the first time out. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got James here. As a book reader, I'm not a fan of blacks or greens, but I am a fan of Krieg and Stark, who most likely will be in season 2. Can't wait to see who is cast.
I was like, where are you going with this? I'm not a fan of blacks and greens. Oh, yeah, that's right. House of the Dragon, the families, the blacks and the greens. Yeah, listen, there are a million things the kind of way. Like Chris said on the show the other day that the season finale to House of the Dragons for her kind of felt like the show was just starting. And as great and magnificent as the first season is, I agree with her. It felt like things were just going. So yeah, for that and many other reasons, I cannot wait for House of the Dragon to come back. It was awesome reporting the other day that the production has started on season 2. So we just got another year or so to wait. All right, what's next?
Audiasha asks, at which stage of the production process is casting usually completed? Curious because I want to know when to expect the Superman casting to be announced.
I mean, it's all different. I think generally speaking, casting comes much later. I mean, the whole process of a producer picking up a story, getting writers to write it, then making pitches to a studio or production company to get it financed, then getting in a line producer to break it down, figure out budgets, all that kind of stuff. You can even get into the pre-production stuff a little bit before having your cast. So that can come much later. Sometimes a big Hollywood movie will kind of start with an idea and a big actor attached to it. So it can really, really vary. I personally do not believe James Gunn. I'm a big James Gunn fan here. I personally do not believe that James Gunn, when he says they haven't cast their Superman yet. I think they have. I have nothing to back that up with. I pure speculation on my part. I think they have. And I don't know why. I've been getting people writing to me. Have you heard Logan Lerman has been? Logan Lerman's not going to be the new Superman. But I do think they do have their Superman. I don't know that for sure, but I believe, fan speculation here, I believe we will get the announcement of who that Superman is at Comic-Con. I think Comic-Con is when we'll find out. Just a guess, but we'll see. All right, what's next?
Devin Lita writes, happy to see there's an awareness for testicular cancer as a survivor. Keep up the good work, Manscaped. Keep bringing filthy. Ray is a man. Well, I think he means Ray is the man.
He's probably meant or just to clarify, Ray Ora is indeed a man.
I am a man.
Some people think he's an alien from another planet come to save humanity.
Or other things.
Or other things, but he is just a man. I love that. I remember Manscaped reached out to me and said, hey, would you mind if in the promo spots we mention the testicular cancer awareness? Absolutely. Yes, that just makes me love you guys as a sponsor even more. So yeah, I think it's great that they're doing that. All right, what's next?
All right. Well, Tyler writes, I got a 2 billion movie idea. Oh, let's hear it. Sonic versus Mario.
Well, not really.
Ray.
Sonic versus Ray.
I'm just saying, it's just, yeah, that would make a lot of money.
It would make money, but here's the thing. How many people are going to see Sonic that aren't going to see Mario Brothers? I'm going to venture to say not a lot. I think you're talking about the same audience. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like saying, you know what? Game of Thrones season 2, you do that with Game of Thrones season 3, you get 2 billion viewers. Well, isn't it? A lot of it is the same people. So I don't know if that would be a 2 billion. I mean, because like, what did Sonic the Hedgehog 2 make? Like, it was in like the 400 millions. And I'm going to guess that out of that $400 million worth of people that went to go see Sonic 2, probably 375 million of those people were also watching Mario Bros. How much did Sonic 2 make?
Sonic 2 made $405 million worldwide.
So $405 million. So I mean, even if none of those people saw Super Mario Brothers, and all of those people who never saw Super Mario Brothers, all $405 million worth, all of them went to go see Super Mario, that still doesn't make $2 billion. So yeah, probably not.
And look at it this way. Both properties are going to be red hot. I mean, I'm super excited for the third Sonic, so they're going to get my money. And I'm excited for this next Mario movie, no matter how far down the line. I think it's the same thing when people bring up Marvel versus DC movie.
Yeah.
I think that's a back pocket thing where people are really desperate and want to. They could go to that
That's
anytime
the
they
word.
want.
It's desperate. It would be desperate.
They could go to that anytime they want. But both these franchises have a lot of fuel in them right now.
And you don't need to combine them because I don't think combining them would be a situation where the sum would be greater or that the whole would be greater than the sum of the parts. I don't think that would be the case here. Anyway, what's next?
Okay, some kind words here from Jonathan Namella. Hello, Campea. You're such an awe-inspiring YouTuber and crew. Chris Carr, you are such an awe-inspiring actress. I wish you all the best of luck.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that, man. That's very kind of you. I'm sure Chris, if she was here right now, would appreciate that as well. All right, what's next?
All right, Jonathan Namella is back. Hello, John. I saw Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's the best superhero movie in the last 5 years. Awe and wonder, better than all of Phase 4 of Marvel and all the comic book movies in the last 5 years. Well, he was a fan.
I mean, I am a fan of Shazam 2. I am a fan of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods, and I would say I think it's better than a lot of Marvel Phase 4. I think that movie because I think it's a good movie. Yeah, it didn't make my power rankings top 5. But I think it is a good, entertaining movie, not as good as the first one. So, but hey, that's the beautiful thing about movies, man. We watched them all. You appreciate it even more than I did, and that's awesome. I would still put Shang-Chi and a couple of other things above it, but it's a good one. It's a good one. All right, what's next?
Right, we've got Garden Variety Vagabond with a $20 tip here.
Thank you, Garden Variety. Appreciate that, man.
EW has an awesome Mario interview with Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Keegan-Michael Key, where they talk about getting into the character motivations and history, plus voice acting techniques and improv techniques. A must-watch.
First of all, that sounds great. The Garden Variety, thank you for putting that on my radar. I'll probably want to go and check that out. But you just reminded me of something. Did you guys see the story where Anya Taylor-Joy revealed that she learned to speak English by watching School of Rock? The Jack Black thing. And she was talking about how she was just like completely geeked out when she found out she was going to get to work with Jack Black and be in the movie with them. I thought that was and then by extension, Jack Black has written what could be an Oscar nominated song about her. Well, her character, Princess Peach. But I thought that was I thought that was, what's the word for it when something's like really pure and
Max.
one, what's that?
Max.
It's Max. That's not what it's Max.
No, it sounds pretty max to me.
No, what wholesome? I think that's the word. Yeah, wholesome.
Wholesome.
Wholesome. It was such a wholesome sort of thing. I loved that. And yeah, I'm going to go and check that out, Gard. And by the way, Gard, thanks again for supporting us on that level, man. Super appreciate that, dude. All right, it's Max. Peach Max. Chris JB27 live chat. Chris Max. All right, what's next?
All right, Jonathan is back. Hello, Campea. What are you like in real life? Are you different from what you show from you on the show, or like compared to the real life? Or are you like what we see is what we get? Do you do fan meet and greets?
Look, the one big difference that you would notice in me between watching me on the show and if you then talk to me in real life is that I am far more comfortable on camera than I am in person. I'm actually an introvert. And I'm actually, listen, I've been very open about this. I'm actually very socially awkward. I really, really am. And I think that's why I really just prefer to spend time with my close inner circle. Because, it's funny, I've mentioned this before, but I can get on stage as I have on Hall H, and I can moderate a panel at Hall H at Comic-Con and be in front of 6,000 people, and I'm totally in my element. Feel great. But what terrifies me is when I come down off the stage and there's like 5 people waiting there to talk to me. That's the part that I get kind of anxious about. And I know there are a lot of other people who kind of suffer with that as well, but I'm kind of more introverted. I'm very socially awkward. And this here is really more my element than me, because I'm always, I don't know, whenever I meet people, well, I love it when people come walking up to us, like Ray will be with me or Ann will be like, I love it when people come walking up to us and tell us that they watched the show. And I love that. Thank you to everybody who does that. But there's also this striking kind of paralyzing fear that I have that I will disappoint them, that meeting me is going to end up being a disappointment, that I'm not going to make them feel good. Or I don't know whether it's a failure complex or socially awkward, but that's the big difference between me. And now if you are in my close circle of friends, this is how I talk when we talk about things, whatever. But other than that, you would think I'd be like a guy who stands up at the party, go, hey, everybody, let's do this. You would think I was that guy, but I'm really not. I'm the guy who's kind of standing in the corner with my Diet Pepsi and kind of just keeping to myself. Ray's got something seems he wants to add to this.
You know who makes everyone feel good when they meet him?
Chef Pleasures?
Baloney.
Jim.
Never mind.
Cold sore Cole.
Cold sore Cole.
But yes, that is the big difference between me on camera and off camera. All right, what's next?
Anonymous writes, after 10 years of Disney Star Wars, do you think they have done more harm than good to the IP? I'm glad they got it. What they've got right has been very good. I do wish they would have had a plan before going into everything because it has been mismanaged. Listen,
the biggest failure of the Disney era of Star Wars is the fact that they did not go into the new trilogy with a plan. And they got away with it for the first film. I thought the Force Awakens was wonderful. I don't care what anybody says. I think The Force Awakens was wonderful. And that first movie hides the fact that you don't have a plan. But you can only hide the fact that you don't have a plan for so long, because eventually it starts to show. And that's what happened with the sequel trilogy. Now, as far as whether or not they're ultimately leaving it worse off than when they found it, I think a lot of people today look back 20 years ago with real big rose-colored glasses because the prequel trilogy nearly ruined Star Wars. And you can look back on it now and try to rewrite history all you want. And I do see a lot of people online trying to rewrite history, but I lived through it. All right. The division over the prequel series, that's when you get things like the people versus George Lucas.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that went way too far. Like people versus George Lucas raped my childhood. And all that kind of stuff, right? That was you. But like everybody today forgets just how bad it was when the prequel movies came out. And they all try to pretend like it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. It was that bad amongst the fan base. So I hesitate to say, and no, I wouldn't hesitate to say I would not agree that Disney is going to leave it worse off than it was. They haven't improved it a lot. I'll say that. And you're right. I agree with you. They've done some things very, very, very well. You know, whether Andor, Rogue One, The Force Awakens. I think they've done some things really, really, really well, but their lack of having a plan has really bitten them in the ass. And, but don't forget how bad things were like a while ago, because they were pretty bad back then too. All right. What's next?
All right, from Campea quote of the day. That's the beautiful thing about film. It's all subjective.
I think that should be the mantra of every movie fan. I think to call yourself a movie fan, you need to understand that principle. That will probably be when I retire, in the next, my retirement's coming up soon. But when I retire, that will be the quote that I hope I remember for. That the best thing about movies, the most beautiful thing about film is the pure subjectivity of it. All right, what's next?
All right, Ricky G writes, "Hey John, is anyone in the studio going to go see Suzume this weekend? It's Makoto Shinkai's new movie. Your name and Weathering with You were great, so I'm hyped for this newest release."
I'll be honest with you. First of all, Your Name was great. I was late to the party on that one, but it was every bit as good as everybody said it was. I am not familiar with this new one. I've not even heard of it, to be honest with you. So I don't know if it's coming out in theaters. I don't know where it's coming out in theaters. So I don't have much to know, but you just put it on the radar for a lot of people, and I'm glad that you did. All right, what's next?
Okay, David Crabtree writes, "Hey John and crew, now knowing Bowser's character motivations in the film, apparently Nick Cage had been an early frontrunner for the role of Bowser in Super Mario, purely based on his face-off role of Castor Troy.
Oh,
I can eat a peach for hours." Wow.
First of all, one of my favorite Nicolas Cage roles is Castor Troy in Face Off, where he utters the ultimate great line as he says to the stewardess, "I have a question. Let me rephrase. If I let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful?" So that movie has some of the greatest lines ever in that. And yes, that's right. I can eat a peach for hours. There you go. That should have been a Bowser line in the movie, I'm sure. Totally still would have maintained its family-friendly rating. All right, what's next?
All right, Chad writes, "When I think about Avengers Endgame, I realize it has a lot of narrative and logic problems.
It does.
In essence, it's not a very good or well-made movie, but it is a great event. I had a similar reaction watching Mario."
Here's the thing. I still think it was a very good movie. I mean, remember, there are many elements that can go into making a movie good or bad. And if you're missing one of them, it can still be compensated for with others. Endgame did have several logic problems. And I remember in the euphoria of Endgame coming out, when I tried to point out there's some logic problems in this, everybody just yelled at me, "Don't say anything bad about Endgame." It's like, but now, a little bit of distance between us and Endgame, a lot of people do now acknowledge there are some logic problems in it. But you know what? It more than made up for it with other things. And while the logic problems and narrative flow and stuff like that are important, the lack of those does not make a movie bad if you have enough of the other things as well to really compensate for it. And I think Endgame is one of those things. Because remember, at the end of the day, for me, movies are experiential events. And if you walk out of a movie with a fabulous experience, isn't that what it's all about? If it maybe wasn't as funny as you were kind of hoping it would be, or maybe it didn't have as much historical context as you thought it should have had, or it didn't have as great as a lead performance as you thought it had. But if at the end of the day, you still walked out with a great experience because they compensated with a bunch of other things they did well, isn't that the bottom line? And so for me, yeah, I agree. Endgame has some logic problems, but I still think it was a really good movie. That's just me. All right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous writes, "I know I'm in the minority, but I don't want a Marvel versus DC movie.
I don't either.
I say you leave Avengers versus Justice League to the Injustice Mortal Kombat game developers. Create one of the most ambitious fighting games of all time."
That would totally work. And listen, we talked about this on the show the other day. What I would be down for is not like 50 characters versus 50 characters. That's just a mess. But what I would be down for is what the comics have done before, which is like Superman and Spider-Man team up. So that's Marvel and DC, but it's like, it's limited, right? Or Batman and Captain America, or something along those lines, right? I would be down for something like that. That could be interesting if you keep just the number of characters very limited and you do kind of a crossover like that, like they've done in the comics. I think I'd be more interested in something like that than say like Justice League versus Avengers, which I think would just end up being a total chaotic mess of a movie. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right. Suthius writes, I've seen Love and Thunder 10 times now, and while I think Bale's performance is great, I like Gore less and less. I just don't think he's menacing. I see no pain from him. He just stands there half the time with his head down, having his dumb mouth open.
Listen, I will say this. At the end of the day, in a thumbs up or thumbs down world, I still liked Thor Love and Thunder, although I have some big issues with it. And one of the issues is we never got to see Gore the God Butcher do any God butchering. Like, you need to establish why the world this villain lives in fears him or her, right? You got to establish that. You got to make the audience feel the menace. And other than that first scene where he comes across the kind of ballerina god in the garden there, and then surprises him by stabbing him with the necrosword, there really wasn't anything to give us that sense of fear and dread and oh hell. Like, here's a good example. Let's go back to Avengers Infinity War for a second, right? One of the best things they did was, look, in case you as the audience don't get just how big of a problem Thanos is, we're going to start this movie with Thanos fighting Hulk. And he's going to spank him. He's going to straight up spank him and send him running all the way back to Earth to the part where Bruce is going to be going, Thanos is coming, right? They established that this guy is a problem. And I never felt like they did that with Gore. I felt like they were just kind of relying on the design of the character, which I thought looked great, and the fact that Christian Bale is playing him, but they needed more of that to kind of establish him as a threat, and they never did it. And I think that was one of the movie's big problems. All right, what's next?
Okay, Shallow Question writes, who in your opinion is the best looking female superhero in film? I just saw Shazam 2, and I'll say Mary in her superhero outfit was definitely the highlight.
I mean, look, it's true. Regardless if it's male or female, they tend to make our superheroes really gorgeous people. I mean, I think on the male side,
Ned.
Who?
Ned.
Ned?
Yeah.
Who's Ned?
From Spider-Man.
Oh my God.
My boy Ned.
Jacob
baby.
Bartolone, the Tagalog.
Let's go.
The Tagalog Knight, the
Nasty
Filipino. I think you got to look at Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Like, that dude's ridiculous. I think you're talking about, look, they're all, every one of them. There is no ugly superhero. On the female side, I mean,
I gotta go with Captain Marvel on that one.
I was gonna say Brie
With
Larson.
the little braid that she got going on.
Brie Larson is all kinds of beautiful too. Like, on top of being an Academy Award winning actress.
Some people were saying Scarlet. Some people were saying
Black Widow.
Oh,
Harley Quinn. I mean,
Oh my God, Harley Quinn.
Florence. Back there.
Florence Pugh, like right behind Ray there. He's got his portrait there of Florence Pugh.
Yep.
Up on the wall. I mean, look, this is the thing. All the superheroes are all gorgeous. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to narrow it down.
Give me
All right.
one ugly superhero.
The Blob.
The
No, I meant,
okay, maybe
no, I meant to the studios. Give me an ugly superhero.
Oh yeah,
that some
Give
of
me-
us can relate to.
You know, Deadpool. But even Deadpool.
But
even,
that was by
yeah, but even though the thing is, even Deadpool, when they scar him up, like, Deadpool is supposed to be so repulsively like the kittens die when they see his face, right?
still Ryan Reynolds.
It was still Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. He had
And
a like before that.
he with the wrinkled up makeup is still better looking than any of my friends.
and got Vanessa still.
And still got Vanessa. Well, he got her
Kept her.
before the problem.
Oh, yeah.
but-
You know where you can watch a lot of these handsome and beautiful superheroes?
No.
Max. It's the one to watch for HBO.
with the maxophone playing in the background. The sexy David
You know,
Zaslav maxophone
it's
music
the one
playing
where
in
you
the
go
background.
to watch HBO on.
All right, what's
Anonymous
next?
sends a tip. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Anonymous.
And then James B writes, hey all, I'm based in the UK. It's my 38th birthday next week, and I'm off to visit my partner, world's most beautiful human, in Lyon, France.
Nice.
Early morning run, nice lunch. Then she's arranged for us to go to see D&D, followed by John. Oh, that's a great double feature. John Wick 4. Love your work.
Okay, well, JB, I'm going to tell you right now, James, you've look, I don't know anything else about your partner.
This is going to be silly.
You've picked well.
Yep.
Oh, good.
You've picked well.
What a great.
I know nothing else about them.
I was really scared you were going to say something silly like ditch her and just go see the double feature. I'm like,
No.
Okay.
You have clear when your significant other has planning your day, and that day involves watching Dungeons and Dragons and John Wick 4. You've picked well, my friend. You picked well. I'm even just glossing over the fact that you're in Lyon, France, which that's nice. But you're going to see Dungeons and Dragons and John Wick 4 on the same day. That's a good day, my friend. All right, what's next?
All right. Fanimator writes, given the fact that James Mangold is supposedly directing a Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi movie, do you think Christian Bale could appear, maybe in the lead? Christian Bale really wants to join Star Wars, and Mangold's has worked with him before. Thoughts?
Yeah, listen, we talked about that. I can't remember how long ago it was, but Christian Bale actually mentioned straight up he'd like to do a Star Wars movie. And he has worked with James Mangold. And we brought up before that, hey, James Mangold has worked with some top-notch people, including, we talked specifically about Hugh Jackman because he's worked with Jackman a number of times, but he's worked with Christian Bale. And maybe that's Bale's in. So maybe, you never know, but that could definitely be a possibility. It's one I would like to see. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Jesse has a turtle. Do you think it's important? You think it's important movie theater employees wear the traditional usher type uniforms rather than just a tee? I know it doesn't matter at all since it doesn't affect the actual films we go to see, but I don't think they look cool, formal, and I kind of miss them.
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Depends on the theater.
Here's the thing. I think if you're going to make them wear a uniform, I think you got to pay them more. I think if you want them to walk around like in a uniform, let's not pretend that these great kids who are working hard to give us a good movie going experience aren't making minimum wage. Let's just be clear about that. So I'm perfectly fine with the more casual, just the black, like at the AMC I go to, they wear a black t-shirt with their shirt of the month, highlighting one of the movies coming out in the theaters and stuff like that. Now, the odd theater, like if I go to the Man's Chinese.
Yeah, or singing the El Capitan across the street.
Or the El Capitan, sometimes they do have a little bit, because it's a different feel, right? It's a little bit of a different feel. But do I feel it's important they should kind of put on the monkey suit? Nah, I'm good. I'm good with them the way they are. Unless you're going to pay them more, then I'm okay with it. All right, what's next?
All right, Jonathan Imella is back. Hello, Campea crew. I took a risk and rolled the dice, and Dungeons and Dragons were just an awe-inspiring fantasy movie. Now I want to play the game. Group I meet at my theater. Thank you for the recommendation. Just wow, awe-inspiring.
Listen, it is very, very gratifying when you do anything like what we do here, when people write to you and say, hey, took your recommendation, I wanted to go see this, and I had a good time. That's always really, really gratifying, especially when it's a movie that deserves it as much as this Dungeons and Dragons movie does. And especially when it's a movie that deserves it, but isn't making a lot of money. So that especially makes me feel more gratified. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. And it's great knowing that people who don't even play the game are enjoying it. All right, what's next?
All right, Jonathan's back. He just wanted to say that he bought your movie on Apple. Movie Trailers a Love Story. Says it's an awe-inspiring documentary. You could be big in the movie industry, keep making movies. Just wow.
No, I couldn't be big in the movie industry. And I'm comfortable with that. That's not me being modest. I'm comfortable with that. You know, the wise man knows their limitations. I will never be big in the movie industry, and I'm totally comfortable with that. The movies I have made and the projects I've been involved in and the projects I am involved in that we haven't told you about yet, I do for enjoyment, for fun, and all that kind of stuff. I don't have the type of skill or whatever to be a big successful Hollywood producer or whatever. That's never going to be me. But I will do things like that just because I enjoy them and I think they're fun. But thank you for the kind words, man. By the way, go and check out, you can get it on Amazon or in other places. Go look for Movie Trailers, A Love Story. The documentary I and Jonathan Voico helped me make this movie as well. Go and check it out. It's still out there and available. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Anonymous. The song Ashes was ineligible for the Oscars as it was written before the production of the Deadpool 2 movie.
Is that what makes it ineligible?
So it wasn't written specifically
Yeah, so it was just a song
Deadpool.
used in it.
That is interesting. Because when you listen to Ashes, it really does feel like it's written for the movie. Mm-hmm. Like really feels like it was written for the movie. If that's true, if what you're saying is true, and I cannot independently verify that what you just said is true, but if it is true, that's really interesting. That is very, because we talked on the other day about the Celine Dion song Ashes and said there has to be something that made it ineligible because there is no excuse for that song not being nominated for Best Song at the Academy Awards. So if that's the case, that is very interesting. And I never knew that. If it's true, I learned something new today. Thank you for that, man. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got My Dog Slave who writes, we have had great TV with Last of Us, now Succession, but Happy Valley has to be number one for me so far. Sarah Lancashire and James Norton, last episode, produced some of the best acting ever seen on TV.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've never heard of this. But
Happy Valley, I feel like I have heard of this.
Happy Valley is a British crime drama television series set and filmed in the Calder Valley, West Yorkshire.
I'm going to assume this is a BBC show.
Yeah.
BBC One.
Okay, which would probably be why. Okay, interesting to know. Again, I love when people come in and start throwing in these things I've never even heard of, and now it's on not just my radar, but everybody who's watching's radar. So thanks for sharing that, man. I'll keep my eye open for it. All right, what's next?
Alan Renshaw writes, over under 20%, we get either Ahsoka, Luke, or Sabine Ezra in Mandalorian finale. The Mandalorians are going to need help to defeat Gideon this time and also rescue Din. Clip is on YouTube, so not a spoiler at all.
Look, one of the big problems with the Mandalorian series, even in the episodes and seasons that I love, is this is a huge, they fall back a lot on member berries in this thing and cheap pops. And sometimes the cheap pops work really well. Like Luke showing up at the end of season 2 was pretty damn fantastic. But they do a lot of like a band playing a concert gets a cheap pop. Like we need a cheer from the audience. What do? I don't know. We don't have good music. Okay, say, hello, Boston. Yeah, right? Mandalorian does a lot of hello, Boston in their things. Hey, guys, look, it's the bar that Luke went to in Tatooine. Only now it's being run by a droid. Do you get the irony? So I wouldn't put it past, I'm going to say over 20%. That we get some kind of thing. My guess is, and this one would make sense, and this one would be good actually. The first appearance of Thrawn. That would make sense, right? Because they just revealed Thrawn, and the fact that Lars Mikkelsen is playing him at Star Wars Celebration. Why did they reveal that? Maybe because this upcoming episode of Mandalorian is going to show him for the first time, so they built it up. So, yeah, I'm going to go over 20%. Over 20%. All right, what's next?
Okay, JCSC writes, how have you been enjoying Ted Lasso season 3 so far? I'll be honest, for me, it has been slow, meandering start, but events in the most recent episode make me think the remaining episodes will be more focused on established characters rather than new ones.
I'm not going to lie to you. I thought the first episode of the season was a little slow. I have loved every one since, though. Right. Like even episode 1 was just laying groundwork, and I kind of get, okay, here's where everybody is right now. But then for me, it just took off. And I have found this season, I'm not going to say it's my favorite season so far, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this season very, very much. And I can't believe, I thought I was going to hate the Zava character. I really did, but I have ended up just loving Zava. I think he's great. So far I'm loving the season. I think this might be the final season. It's going to break my heart if it is, but we'll see how the rest of it goes. All right, what's next?
Suthius writes, I'm no longer going to try to keep track of the MCU events in chronological order.
Yep.
Even though The Marvels is coming out after Secret Invasion, its release date has been changed 3 times. But from what we know, it does seem to take place after Ms. Marvel.
It would be very problematic if it happens before Secret Invasion, especially when we understand what we know about Secret Invasion. I'm again, having not seen The Marvels, I cannot personally verify that it does or does not happen before or after the events of Secret Invasion. But it would be kind of problematic if it comes out that long after Secret Invasion, but actually happens before the events of Secret Invasion. It would be problematic if they did that. So it'll be interesting to see how they work that out. All right, what's next?
All right, finally from Anonymous, I want Peaches to get an Oscar nomination, if not for the sole reason to see Jack Black perform that song live at the Oscars next year in costume from the music video. Green suit with headpiece and all. I have been listening to it at least every other day.
I'll tell you what, I watched the music video the other day for the first time with him dressed up.
And dancing around.
I'll tell you what, this song, we talked about this the other day. Does the song Peaches deserve a Grammy for pure quality of song? No. But the reason I believe this song should be in heavy consideration for an Academy Award for Best Song is because it is an integral part of the movie. It actually elevates the movie. It is not like 95% of songs that get nominated for Best Songs at the Oscars have absolutely nothing to do with the movie. They are 95% of the time a song that plays during the credits. What does that have to do with the movie? Almost nothing. And I'm not against those being nominated. Don't misinterpret me. I'm not saying I'm against those getting nominated. I'm saying if you're going to give those songs nominations, then a song like Peaches that is actually a part of the film and elevates the film itself, I think that's got to get heavy, heavy, heavy consideration because this song does that more than any song that plays. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Lady Gaga's "We're Gonna Fly Through the Sky." That plays at the end of Top Gun Maverick. I love, it's a good song. It's a great song. I love Rihanna's "We're Black Panther Without Chadwick Boseman" song that plays at the end of Black Panther. It's a great song. But they're not actually a part of the movie. And they get Oscar nominations. Peaches should get an Oscar nomination. I'm going to call it that right now. All right. And guys, with that down, that'll do it for this overly long episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you, saxophone of David Zaslav and Max for making the show go running long. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. This has been a long one. Hey, guys, listen. Thank you especially to all of you who sent in those tip questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the guys in the office here with me. Sitting right across from me is Ray Ora. Of course, running the show today, Jonathan Voico. Beside him, Taylor Gonzalez. Make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow. All of us and Chris Carr will be joining us again tomorrow. So we hope to see you then. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, Max.